Color is something spiritual, something whose clarity is spiritual, or whose mixture yields nuance, not a blur. The rainbow is a pure, childlike image. In it, color is wholly contour, is that which marks boundaries for the person who sees with a child's eyes. It is not the coating overlaid on the substance, as it is for an adult. The latter abstracts from color, regarding it as a deceptive cloak for individual objects in time and space. In the contouring color, things are not objectified, but filled by an order in infinite nuances. Color is the particular, not as lifeless object and rigid individuality, but as something winged that flits from one object to the next. Children make soap bubbles. Likewise, colored pickup sticks, sewing kits, decals, tea sets, even pull-out picture books, and to a lesser extent, folded paper constructions, all depend on this nature of color. Children enjoy the alteration of color in a variable transition of nuances, soap bubbles, or in the clear and emphatic heightening of the quality of colors in oleographs, paintings, and the images produced by decals and magic lanterns. For them, color is of a fluid nature, is the medium of all changes, and not a symptom. Their eye is not directed toward the plastic per se, which they distinguish through their sense of touch. The range of distinctions within a given mode of sensuous apprehension, sight, hearing, and so on, is presumably larger in children than in the adult, whose ability to correlate the senses is more developed. The child's apprehension of color brings the sense of sight to its highest artistic development, its purity, insofar as it isolates that sense. It elevates this development to a spiritual level, since it views objects according to their color content, and hence does not isolate them, but rather secures in them the unifying perception that is characteristic of the world of imagination. Only through such perception of colors, and in intercourse with them, can imagination be fully developed, can it be satisfied and disciplined. Where it applies itself to the plastic arts, it becomes overly lush, no less so where it turns to history, and in music it remains unfruitful. For the fact is that imagination never has to do with form, which is a concern of law, but can only perceive the living world from the human being outward, creatively, in feeling. This takes place through color, which for that reason cannot be pure and particular where it remains dull and flat, but instead, where it is not confined to illustrating objects, can be nuanced and shaded, full of movement, arbitrary, and always beautiful. In this regard, coloring in has a purer pedagogical function than painting, so long as it retains transparency and freshness, and does not make for a blotchy skin over things. Adults, productive persons, find no footing in color. For them, color is possible only in relation to law. They have a world order to provide, and their task is not to grasp innermost principles and essences, but to develop them. In a child's life, color is the pure expression of the child's pure receptivity, insofar as it is directed toward the world. It contains an implicit instruction to a life of the spirit, which no more depends on circumstances and contingencies for its creativity than color, for all its receptivity, conveys the existence of dead causal substances. Children's drawings take colorfulness as their point of departure. In general, their goal is color in its greatest possible transparency, and there is no reference to form, area, or concentration into a space. For pure seeing is directed not toward the space and the object, but toward the color, which, to be sure, appears to the highest degree objective, but not spatially objective. Painting as art starts from nature and proceeds through concentration on form. The objectivity of color is not based on form, but without affecting the perception empirically, goes right to the spiritual object through isolation of the act of seeing. It dissolves the intellectual associations of the soul and creates a pure mood without thereby giving up the world. Colorfulness does not stimulate the animal senses because the continuous imaginative activity of the child springs from the soul. But because children see this so purely, without allowing themselves to be disconcerted in their soul, it is something spiritual. The rainbow. It refers not to a chaste abstraction, but to a life in art. The order of art is paradisiacal because there is no thought of fusion in the objective experience as a result of excitement. Rather, the world is full of color, in a state of identity, innocence, harmony. Children are not ashamed, since they do not reflect, but only see.